This video is one in a series of training videos that have been made from the PowerPoint presentation slides that used to be used when we did in-person leadership training. This particular video deals with leader requirements for New Hampshire chapter paddlers. And the requirements come from a number of different places, including federal, state, local laws and regulations. If you're on private land or land owned by another organization, they may have rules that you have to follow. But the primary focus of this video will be on the AMC rules, which occur at the club level, as well as at the chapter level and at the New Hampshire paddlers level. At the club level, there are two documents that show our requirements. One is the AMC Code of Conduct, and the other is the Leadership Requirements and Guidelines. Because we're in a unique situation with the pandemic, there have been requirements that have been generated to remain as best we can leading trips during COVID. Those aren't going to be covered in this training. In addition to the club requirements, the New Hampshire chapter does have one requirement. In general, the chapter lets the individual activity committees develop their own requirements for leaders, but they do have a finance policy that does deal with collecting money on trips. And finally, there's the AMC paddlers requirements themselves. I haven't provided any links to any of these because the links tend to become out of date. What I've found is that the best way to do this is to use a search engine, and I'm going to show you how I do that now. I'm going to use Google's advanced search capability to show this, but if you have another browser and it has the ability to search for a specific website, which is what we're going to put here, and for exact phrases, or at least all of the following words, that should work as well. So in this case, I've preloaded some of them to save some time. So in this one, I want to search for the exact phrase Code of Conduct, and I only want to search outdoors.org. And so when I click that, I get a bunch of things that have that in there, but this actually is the document itself. So if I click on that, I can now see the document. And I've decided to make a separate video for the AMC documents. In this case, the AMC Code of Conduct and the AMC Leadership Requirements and Guidelines. And the reason I'm doing that is it's likely that both of these documents are going to be updated soon, and it'll make it easier if I just update their own video rather than having to change the larger video that I had created. Now we'll look at the requirements from the chapter and also from the Paddlers Committee itself. So as I had mentioned before, the chapter has very few requirements, preferring to let each activity committee generate their own requirements for their own leaders. They do have a finance policy which has a form that is used if the leader is collecting money where the individuals are giving it directly to the leader instead of writing a check to the New Hampshire chapter or the New Hampshire AMC paddlers. So we do need to follow that policy. The easiest way to do that is if you're going to run a trip that does involve money, contact the paddling co-chairs or the paddling treasurer to be sure you're following the current rules on doing that. In addition to that, if you were going to try to co-sponsor an activity with another organization, Again, contact the New Hampshire paddling co-chairs to determine the current rules on that. For example, I frequently run pool sessions in the wintertime, and we have to get certificates from AMC showing that we have insurance coverage for people when they're at the pool. So finally, the leader requirements from the AMC paddlers. We've already mentioned that you have to meet the AMC and chapter requirements. So these are the ones that are specific to the AMC paddlers, although they're quite similar to what other activity committees require as well. One is that you must complete leadership training. We offer training at the paddling level. However, if you've taken leadership training from another AMC organization, that may qualify. You just need to contact us. You also have to demonstrate the skills required for the kind of trips that you want to lead. So those three things, the meeting the AMC and New Hampshire chapter requirements plus the other two, can be done in any particular order. But you have to do all three of those before you must then lead 2 trips with a rated leader as your co-lead. And that leader will then provide an evaluation back to the leadership chair to determine if you are going to become a New Hampshire chapter leader or perhaps need a little bit more experience. The AMC paddlers lead a lot of different trips with a lot of different boats. And really, since we're all volunteers, it really depends on the interest level of the volunteer leader as to where they're going. So we have some leaders that like to do ocean paddling in sea kayaks. We have other leaders that like to do whitewater. We have some leaders who do many of the different things, some that only deal with kayaks, and so there's a whole wide range. Most of our trips are within the area of New Hampshire or surrounding states, but technically we can have trips that go out 500 miles from any chapter. So that does cover going into Canada, going down to North Carolina, I think, maybe even further. If you're going to do something like that, we probably want to know more details and your experience on doing overnight trips of that nature. In addition to where you can paddle, the chapter paddling, we can lead trips as long as they do not exceed 10 days in duration. So again, if you were going to lead a multi-day trip, we, as leadership chairs, we would want to be sure that you have the capability to do that and the experience leading multi-day trips, or at least you'd work with someone to get that experience. I'm going to conclude this video by talking about animals on trips. The AMC recognizes 2 types of animals: service animals and all other animals. Service animals are trained to provide a service to the owner, and they're generally allowed anywhere. A service animal is not considered as a pet. While the other animals, including animals that are called comfort animals, are considered pets by AMC and can be treated differently. As I said, a service animal is trained to provide service to the owner, and they're generally allowed anywhere, although if you're going somewhere such as a state park, I would still check. I'm pretty sure that they're going to be allowed because of the Americans with Disability Act, but you would want to check. As leaders, we do want to make as much accommodations as we can to people with disabilities, but we do want to be sure that the animal is not going to cause increased risk to the animal or to the group. So there may be times when you have to say it's just not appropriate. And also, we do practice leave no trace, so someone has to pick up after the animal if they do go to the bathroom. But that said, these are service animals, so if you have any questions about that, if someone contacts you and you need help, contact one of the chapter paddling co-chairs. As I said, all of the other animals, including comfort animals, are considered pets. There are definitely locations that don't allow pets. You may want to be sure and check. Otherwise, it's up to you as the leaders to whether you're going to allow pets or not. Be consistent if you do allow pets, and if you say you're not allowing pets, then stick to it. Don't let someone talk you into it when other people may have not even bothered to ask. You may also have to deal with, well, how many pets is too many on a trip? And again, as I said, there's leave no trace. You may want to require that the animals be on a short leash. In some areas, they have to be on leashes. If animals are allowed and are coming on your trip, you probably want to let your other participants know that. For the most part on paddling trips, it's difficult to allow pets on the trips, but there are some trips that it would be possible to do that. That completes this video on leader requirements. If you have any questions or comments, please send an email to paddling-leadership@amc-nh.org.